Welcome back to TechNet Radio. In this Community Corner episode, John Weston interviews Anthony Moreign, founder of the Houston Cloud and Cluster User Group. Listen in as John and Anthony discuss Microsoft's cloud computing offerings, specifically Windows and SQL Azure, how to get started, and what they think the future holds for the cloud. John, the mic is yours.
Hello and welcome to today's TechNet Radio Community Corner. This is John Weston, and the TechNet Community Corner talks about the user groups and communities out there in the IT Pro world. Today I've got with me Anthony Moreign of Hybrid Decisions down in Houston, Texas. Welcome, Anthony.
Hello.
So, Anthony, tell us what Hybrid Decisions does, or what do you do for a day job?
Well, Hybrid Decisions is a Microsoft Gold Certified Partner. Well, everybody says something like that right off the bat. But what we're trying to say is we're also the frontline partners for pretty much every available technology that Microsoft is releasing. And we focus primarily on HPC SharePoint. So these two technologies that are primarily on-prem, we take it to the cloud. So as a company, that's what we do. That's our day job. And after hours, we dedicate to either code or community.
Got it. And so I know there's a new user group that you're involved in helping getting off the ground there in Houston called Houston Cloud and Cluster Computing User Group. Is that what it is? That's the name of it?
That is correct. That is correct.
What's that group all about? Tell me about it.
Well, as I introduced about what the company does, likewise, what we've noticed is there is a lot of information about the cloud out there, in fact, too much information, and there is very little connectivity between what exists in the real-time world within companies versus where the market or where the industry is shifting or going forward, which is the cloud. So we brought this group together to help bridge this gap between the cluster, which exists on-premise for a lot of people, and the cloud, which is the future for pretty much everybody who wants to stay relevant.
That's great. So now I know the group hadn't had their first meeting yet, but I know you've got a website up and running yet, right? So what's the website?
Yes. The website is called HCCUG.org. It stands for Houston Cloud and Cluster Computing User Group. So it's in full focus, as we mentioned earlier, is to help advocate and make it easy for people to get started in the cloud.
And y'all are going to meet at the Microsoft office there in Houston. When are you going to start meeting?
We are launching this this group at the Houston Tech Fest, leveraging that audience to make everybody aware of the group. We are having our first meeting following that. It's the first Wednesday of every month at the Microsoft Center, and people can go ahead and just go to the website. Everything is on the very first page. They don't have to go navigating, searching anywhere else. We try to keep everything simple.
That's great. So why did you decide to start it? I mean, that's a lot of work and a lot of your time investment to run and get a user group up and off the ground. What do you get out of it, and why did you do it?
This may sound a little off, but basically, we are where we are because of a lot of people giving to us. We've benefited tremendously from community efforts from Microsoft, from individuals, various other programs, and so today we're at a position where we can stand and we are in a position to give back. So the intent is we received, we benefited. Let us now share what we have without expecting anything back. If we can effectively help one person make a better life, we are happy.
That's great. It's all about the community, and I love the focus about giving back. We're all blessed to be in this great technology field that we're in, and wonderful opportunities that we have, and helping others get into that world is great as part of the community. So what are your plans to market this group? I mean, obviously you've got a website up and running. You got Microsoft here talking about it. What else are you going to do to publicize it? I know you got Houston Tech Fest coming up where there'll be, close to 1,000 people there coming up soon. But how else are you planning to get the word out about this group?
Well, one of the things that we are doing is bringing in people who are not just known names in the local market. Like one of our primary speakers is a guy who owns 3 companies in Germany who's been part of the Azure program for quite some time. And he was willing to come down and speak. So basically, one of the ways of making sure that this group moves forward is to have more of a global exposure, having global speakers come in, and therefore help the people who are here, help our local community to start seeing things beyond our little pond. So having speakers from overseas, we leverage the platform of other existing user groups, and thanks to John Hellman and Michael Steinberg, 2 people who have pretty much given a lot to the local community over the past decade. They are part of our group also and helping us grow. We are now using the other existing user groups to speak at those user groups. For example, I will be presenting on SQL Azure at a SQL user group. Therefore, people realize there is a connection between us and them. So we speak at other user groups. We leverage the existing user groups. We leverage the bloggers out there. Hopefully, the Microsoft bloggers will start recognizing that, well, this user group is more than just Houston. It's more cloud and computing, but first focus is to the local boys.
Gotcha. That's great. So what does success look like for you? How many people do you think you'll have? I mean, I know the first meeting may be small, but what do you want to get this? How big do you want to grow this group to?
Well, we are looking at having this group as big as it can get. If we need to split the sessions, if we need to start segmenting it to focus on the various parts of the cloud domain, like infrastructure or platform or software, we're prepared for that. So from a long-term vision or from a plan forward, we have a nice, pretty much laid out roadmap, but immediately we expect to get quite a few people for the simple reason, based on feedback that we've done over the past few months, we've rummaged over 20 people at least to get started with, and that makes us feel very good. That's great. Without it actually being publicized.
Yeah. So if you got a core group of 20 folks before doing any marketing, and obviously you're leaning on things like the Houston.NET group, the Houston SQL Server group, and other, local as well as the Microsoft folks, you're reaching out to a lot of people. You should be very successful off the bat. I'm confident.
Well, it's all in God's hands. At the end of the day, we try. Everything starts with good intent, and our intent is to give back. So, que sera, sera.
That's great. So, how is you've been involved in the community for some time. How has you and/or your business benefited from your involvement in the community? What has it done for Hybrid Decisions?
This is something that we haven't actually paid focus or paid much attention to. Pause, please pause.
That's fine. If we just want to delete that question, we can.
Oh, I can answer that question. That's okay. I just said pause because I missed what I was going with.
Okay, I'll start over again with that question.
All right, guys. Here we go. So on 5. 5, 4, 3, 2.
So how has your career or Hybrid Decisions benefited from your involvement in the community?
We've looked at the community from a community perspective. We are not looking at trying to grow ourselves. We are already overloaded with work that we have. We thank God for that. This is more of an effort to give back, and we have not even taken a moment to consider what is our personal benefit. I think virtue is its own reward would pretty much summarize this effort of ours.
That's great. So you're doing it all about the community, not necessarily trying to grow your business because of your involvement in the community. You just think it's the right thing to do to give back. That's incredible. That's great. Well, as we always do here on Community Corner, we talk like we have about community, but I want to kind of shift gears now, and it's a technical show, so we want to talk technology some. And gosh, with the work I know your business has done, and you're starting this new cloud user group, I obviously have to talk to you about Microsoft's cloud offerings. So why don't we start with Azure? What is Azure? What do people need to know about Azure?
Well, one of the key things that I'd like to highlight is cloud computing has got something for everybody and has been around for a while. The only difference is Azure is the first and most practical platform out there that actually brings together the three various segments under one umbrella, which is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And what I mean by the last one is if we as ISVs, or I mean with a good idea, can go in there and leverage it, my software becomes a service that I will sell via the Azure platform. So Azure, I've been with Azure since 2008, part of the early adopters, and I remember the pains that we've gone through in having to copy the grids from one side to deploy it. And, I've watched Azure evolve, not from outside, but having been involved with it. The product, as of June 2010, and what it is today, are miles apart. Today, it is a practical technology that can actually deliver and help small-timers, I mean mine type of approaches to get off the ground and make something, make an idea happen.
So you can create your own applications and host them up in Azure and sell those, but then also you can write applications for your customers, right? I mean, and host them up in Azure as well. So there's still a lot of business opportunity. I mean, the one question I've been asked is partners think, oh gosh, Microsoft's trying to put partners out of business by doing this cloud thing. That doesn't look like true. It looks like you found a way to make a living in this space as well.
Absolutely. See, I started my career in C and Unix in the old days, the days of Dilbert. We were king. And the only way that we've stayed afloat is by evolving with the industry. There are a couple of things that one of the key elements of cloud computing and the focus of the group, which I actually forgot to mention earlier, was none of the human resources involved in today's business realm need to worry about their jobs. It's a matter of how they first maintained desktops and then started maintaining laptops, then started maintaining wireless devices, and now they just start maintaining instances in the cloud. So the role keeps evolving, but the people are very much required for cloud to continue. Now, case in point, we have a product called SyncXL, leverages HPC on premises, V3 drop of HPC, which is truly not yet out. And for us, Azure was fabulous because all we have to do is take it, put it up there, and instantly we have a reach that's tremendous. I can go into clients and talk about HPC without having to worry about a high dollar infrastructure number that goes with it. The local infrastructure experts or the local infrastructure resources don't have to worry about what's this new thing that I have to maintain. Well, Azure takes care of it. So that is one of the key points of Azure if you step back and look at it. So every ISV or everybody who has an idea beyond an ISV, I mean before an ISV, if they can step back and take a look, they can find benefits in Azure that truly can impact their life. I actually have more time with my family because I have less to worry about maintaining my infrastructure.
That's great. Yeah, you're not worried about when that hard drive comes apart at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? You're mainly worried about your code and your application.
Exactly.
And how it's hosted. That's great.
Exactly.
One of the other myths that I've heard out there about cloud computing is it's only for giant companies, people that have enormous data centers and offloading that work. Can small and medium businesses take advantage of the cloud?
Absolutely. One of our clients was actually looking at adopting the SyncXL for himself, requires HPC, multiple instances of HPC, and he doesn't have to worry about the licensing the purchase of a lot of hardware because all he has to do is purchase resources as he needs, so he scales up or down. So it becomes very easy for him to adopt my product and not have to worry about putting a capital expense right off the bat. So he's able to adopt, or small and medium businesses can adopt technologies that were pretty much out of their reach earlier, just because of the high dollar of initial cost. So that is mitigated, which means now businesses can actually grow better, evolve better, and there's a very key element here. Big boys don't normally jump into this. It's usually the small ones who spend the time cutting their teeth on it and help the product become something. And by the time big boys get into it, small-timers or small businesses or small medium businesses can actually leapfrog their competition. So it's a very strategically positioned product if you have somebody who can help bridge the business with the technology and present it.
That's great. So I know none of us have a crystal ball, but where is this technology going? Where do you see cloud computing going 3, 4, 5 years out? I mean, I know nobody can magically predict it, but where do you think it's going, Anthony?
My personal opinion is very, very simple. I've watched it evolve since 2008, and I think one thing that I can thank God for, personally, is we tend to not identify technologies, just like we got into SharePoint way before it was even labeled SharePoint, and now look where it is. Our view of Azure is first quarter 2011, based on the drop that's supposed to come out, based on the next drop of Azure, it can alleviate tremendous infrastructure problems and bring together the three pillars that drive business: developers, infrastructure guys, and most importantly, the business. So now the three people don't need to focus about the disconnects, but rather how can they work together and make things happen. Once that element clicks, people get away from doing mundane, repetitive work and rather focus on working together and growing this. This will drive the cloud computing arena completely. And that will bring forth, in my personal opinion, a tremendous on-prem, off-prem blend where companies leverage something from here and something from there. Just a small reminder, our company's name is Hybrid Decision. Intentional.
That's
there
great.
is no solution.
That's cool. That really paints a picture for me to where we're going with this. Well, I really appreciate you, Anthony, of joining us today on Community Corner. I always get asked for contact information, so first let me give my contact information. People can email me at john.weston, W-E-S-T-O-N, or jweston at Microsoft.com. Either one will get to me. I do maintain a technical blog out there at blogs.technet.com/jweston, and you can interact with me with my blog. I usually try to blog on the first of each month where you can go see me in the four-state area, and sometimes I get to go to events outside of my local Texas area. Anthony, you want to give folks how they can get a hold of you and about your new user group, Houston Cloud and Cluster Computing Group?
Absolutely. HCCUG.org is the Houston Cloud and Cluster Computing User Group, and they can sign up there, and everything's on the first page itself. To connect directly with me, my email is text. I know it sounds a little different, but it is text, T-E-X, at hybriddecisions.com, HYBRIDDECISIONS.com. And that's my community email, so it comes in straight to a separate inbox.
He's all known as Tex, our community guy down in Houston. That's great. Well, I appreciate you joining us today, and if you have any questions about his new user group or how to start one up, and he's right in the middle of getting a new one off the ground, contact Anthony or myself, and I want to thank you again for being our guest today.
Thank you, John.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Yes.